Hello and a warm welcome along to part 2 of our Cheltenham Festival preview for 2019. Right now we're going to be looking at all of the novice races, starting off with the Supreme Novices Hurdle, obviously on day 1. We've also got the Arkle and the 4 miler on day 1. With me I have two excellent pundits. One is called Sam Turner, multiple time champion tipster. The other one is called Andrew Mount, multiple time Scoop 6 winner and pro punter. How are you doing, boys?
Good form, thanks, Kev.
Thanks for the intro.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
great kitchen, by the way.
Yeah, we could cook up a storm in here afterwards, definitely. So we'll start off with the Supreme. Di Walters has a very strong hand with Betfair Hurdle winner Al Dancer. He's also got Angel's Breath, who ran a cracker in second the other day. Fakir Du Dairies for, you need to be careful saying that.
Well said, yeah.
Yeah. He'll be getting £8 as a juvenile if he goes to the race for Joseph O'Brien. We've got Elixir de Nuts, the Tolworth winner. Willie Mullins, there's a good classical dream in Aramon. There's very little between them on their Leopardstown farm. We've also got the likes of Mr. Fisher, Grand Sancy as well, Kingwell Hurdle winner. What do we think in the Supreme? Another good race, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a cracker. Al Dancer's been very impressive so far this season, particularly on the clock. And I like the manner of his Ascot win when in the Betfair Hurdle, the rearranged event, when he went round the inside where the ground's generally slower at Ascot on the hurdles course. He's got to overcome the hoodoo of last time out handicap hurdlers winning the Supreme, but very few with realistic chances have tried, and a couple have gone close.
Very close, haven't they?
Including Kalashnikov last year, of course. At the prices, I can probably leave him alone at 11-4. So I'd rather be looking at the likes of Elixir de Nuts, who's been impressive from the front, and Grand Sancy, who shows a really good attitude and knuckles down and pulls it out for pressure.
Improving, isn't he?
And obviously finished second to Elixir de Nuts in the Tolworth. So I'd be looking at that line of form, generally because they're 15-2 and 10-1, as opposed to sort of 11-4 for Al Dancer.
Yeah, I get a feeling now with Al Dancer that he's kind of the right favourite at the wrong price a bit. You know, he's been found in the market, but I still feel he's the most likely winner.
Well, he's done it at Cheltenham, hasn't he, Kev? Yeah. He's done it in a big field, as Andrew alluded to. Yeah. The only slight question mark about him, he can be a little bit temperamental. He probably gets a little bit hot and sweaty, a bit like when Andrew tunes into Loose Women every lunchtime. He's just a bit edgy, and that's just his way. He'd probably be a little bit more disconcerting if he didn't get like that, but obviously he's going to have 70,000. It's going to be a hell of an atmosphere. First day of the Cheltenham Festival, there's going to be a lot of hooping and hollering, and that'll just for Sam Twiston-Davies. So it's going to be a big test of his attitude, temperament, etc. He won't have encountered anything like that. That's the only question mark in my mind.
Is it enough to put you off?
Probably 11-4. Yeah. I'm not saying I wouldn't tip him because he's got times in the book. Yeah. He's coped with a big field. He jumps well. He travels like a dream. He's a very, very talented horse. And I believe, talking to Sam, that he feels that he's never had a horse, a talented novice like him. He thinks he's the best he's had. He's ridden.
That's big talk as
for his dad. And the fact that he's probably the quickest as well. So all those sort of things, he can put him anywhere in a race. And if he gets a clean run, he's going to be very difficult to beat.
Well, I've backed Al Dancer. I'm also going to have a few quid each way, I think, on Grand Sancy. He's around the 12-14-1 mark. I think that's absolutely solid. I mean, you know, he's been plying his trade, learning his craft all season.
He's a typical Nichols horse, isn't he? The start of the year, he's 4-6 to win a piddly little Wincanton Novice Hurdle on Badger Beer Day, and he ends up being a Grade 1 candidate. Yeah. You know, and he's like Black Courton, he's like San Benedetto, he's like Frodon. All these horses that you just pigeonhole as pretty modest, you know, average summer horses or early season horses, all of a sudden become Grade 1 candidates.
The good thing from a pointing point of view, it's the first race on the first day, so the bookies going to be falling over themselves to offer concessions.
Look out for those concessions.
Money back each way first 10, money back on non-triers, that sort of thing. So,
Does that happen then? Non-triers?
Money back on them, that doesn't.
But obviously Fakir Du Dairies has already been around the track, put in a tremendous speed figure when winning his juvenile hurdle on trials day, was subsequently purchased. I think I was in the Racing TV studio when he happened to get into that Cork race. He was the reserve, and one of JP's must have trodden on the stone in the morning because he came out to allow Fakir Du Dairies to come in, and I think he was sort of 7-1 in the morning into about 3-1 and lagged up. The form of that race at Cork's taken a couple of hits since. But that was a powerful performance. It reminded me a little bit of our Connor, to be honest, watching him run.
Really?
Yeah, just the way that he moves.
And I know you're one of the the £8 pull that he gets wouldn't be as important to you as perhaps other pundits, but at the same time, it's there and he has it. You know,
it's better to have it than not, I suppose,
exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah,
I prefer the fact that he's got a very good temperament for a 4-year-old.
Yes.
He's a good doer. He's another one from the GG.CO.UK sort of, I don't know, education program that's ended up at Joseph O'Brien's. He doesn't look a 4-year-old. He looks an older horse in stature.
No 4-year-olds have won it this century, though.
Was Hall of
How
Wild
many
the
have
last
gone
one?
for it?
Was Hall of Wild the last one?
13 prior to last year's race where we only had one, and that was a big price outsider. Yeah. So, 0 from 14.
Yeah, he's definitely the elephant in the room, you'd have to say. For me, Al Dancer, the most likely winner, Grand Sancy, the each-way value. Should we move on to the Arkle?
Yes.
We've lost 1 or 2 in this race, which is unfortunate. But we still have the likes of Lawler, Glenn Forza, who was so impressive at Sandown last time out. Absolutely battered Klashnikov, didn't he? Defi Desoy looks like he might switch from the JLT now to the Arkle, given that we have a non-runner there. I like Ornua at the prices. I thought he ran an absolute blinder at Sandown last time out. I've also had a few quid each way at big prices on Knocking a Noose before Christmas. Them two are likely to go off like the clappers, aren't they?
Well, that's the problem. You might have one, I
might have one that'll hang on to grab third, but I can't help but feel that Lawler and Glenn Forza now, they do look the two.
Let's hope it's a better race than last year when
it was over by
St. Calvados went
it?
off at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and after a furlong there were only 2 possible winners, Footpad and Brain Power, and they finished 1.5 possible winners.
I was going to say, yeah. There's one possible winner really after they jumped in.
It does look an odd race this year at the head of the market. I mean, Laylaw only finished 3rd last time out. You have to go back a long way to find a horse who wasn't in the first 2 in their prep race. Glenn Forcer was very impressive last time, but he has been running in handicaps. And I think horses who've had a run in a handicap chase previously are 0 from 27 this century. So it's not a typical prep for.
And his handicaps were 2.5 and 3 miles, weren't they?
That's right. And does he need soft ground to be effective at this 2-mile trip? If he doesn't get it, perhaps he'll end up in the JLT. So certainly risky from an anti-post point of view. Kalashnikov will be interesting if it does come up very soft. It's got a great record left-handed, so perhaps you can forgive that Sandown defeat to Glenn Forcer last time out. So I think this race could throw up a little bit of a shock, and so I'll be looking to take on the top of the market here.
I'm with you with Ornua. He's done some brilliant times this
year. He has, hasn't he?
He's quick. He's trained by a guy who's got a great record in sort of 2-mile chases around Cheltenham.
Yeah.
And he's likely to be ridden by Rachel Blackmore as well, who we'll probably touch on somewhere else in the podcast, but could be a very fair value bet to be top jockey at the meeting.
Really? Well, that could be a shout.
Yeah, she's about 50s. It's a fair price.
Okay, so that's the Arkle. It's a funny old race. There's going to be plenty of pace on in that race, but I do like Ornua. Maybe he might just track Knocking Noose and not blow his brains out early on there. Lawler and Glenn Force obviously the likeliest winners. Okay, we'll move on to the National Hunt Challenge Cup over 4 miles. I put up in my blog Now McGinty and Mr. Malarkey at big enough prices for that. Obviously we've got the likes of OK Corral chasing the Plumpton bonus. He was very, very impressive in the Hampton chase at Warwick last time out. He's heading the market. We've got the likes of Ballyward, Champagne Classic, some really nice staying youngsters in that race. Is there anything that caught your eye in it?
I think the 2 you've highlighted look very live candidates for the race. I think Now McGinty would be much better left-handed.
I didn't expect them both to run in Reynoldstown, but they did. They finished 1st and 2nd, both of them. We just don't know. I mean, it looks like Tizard wants to send Mr. Malarkey to RSA now, which we'll get onto in a minute, which would obviously do my money, but he'd be a live player there as well. But 2 nice sorts. OK Corral, he's probably the class act in the race.
Yeah, and it's significant that they had Derek O'Connell on board at Warwick last time. Everyone's putting 2 and 2 together and making forward that one. The frustrating thing about this race, it's now the 7th race on day 1, so it's no longer part of the place bomb, because you'd often get a few shocks in this race. When Tiger Roll won, he was 16 to 1. The 2 that followed him home were 50s and 33s, and they've replaced it with the Novices Handicap Chasers race 6 when short price horses are often placed. So that will have an impact on how I play the place pot on day 1.
From memory, John Joe O'Neill's got a very good record if he runs anything in the race. I haven't had a good look at the entries yet. And Alan King. Yeah. Both stables seem to do quite well in this race.
I think those are two to certainly keep an eye on. Now McGinty for Stuart Edmonds. He seems to think the world of this horse.
Good trainer, isn't he?
He's a very, very good trainer, and he thinks this horse could be a Welsh national type. If that's the case, then he's going to be a big player in this 4-miler.
Yeah, I didn't think he got the best of rides at Ascot, if I'm honest.
No.
Got rushed up to chase a absolutely horrific pace, or a very strong pace set by Topville or Top Ben.
Topville Ben.
Topville Ben, yeah, got it right eventually.
Got there in the end.
And you know, dropped back and then made ground up again. I thought it was a monstrous effort from the horse, to be honest.
Anything more to add, Andy?
No, just now McGinty's quite interesting, having won twice in March before. So he certainly peaks in the spring and perhaps just needs cut in the ground though. So good ground would be a worry for that one.
Well, yeah, assuming Mr. Malarkey does get sidestepped to the RSA, now McGinty would be my main selection in the race. We'll move on to Ladies' Day now, where we have the Ballymore Novices Hurdles. Some fantastic horses have won this down the years. Obviously, Sam Crow won it last year. This time we've got Champ for Nikki Henderson. He was an excellent winner of the Cheltenham Hurdle last time out. The form has taken a slight knock. Getaway Trump was a bit outpaced in the Betfair Hurdle. And Kateson as well, who finished third in that Cheltenham Hurdle, was absolutely beaten up by Liscaner Oscar last time out at Haydock. I think Battle Over Diane looks the real deal. You know, he looked very good in his bumper at Punchestown. He looked very good in his maiden hurdle, and he looked excellent in the Lawlers of Naas. Yeah, he's taken a very quick rise up the ranks, but he just looks the real deal to me.
Yeah, he's my pick in the race, unbeaten now in 4 starts, and he did something very rare. He followed a maiden hurdle victory with a win in a Grade 1 hurdle. It's hard to make that transition in a single step. And when you see a horse who does that, like Sir Eric, they're usually pretty special. You know, the likes of Nichols Canyon have pulled that off in the past. A lot of very, very good horses have, got sort of beaten in Grade 1 contests despite winning maidens impressively, but then gone on to be top-class individuals. So the fact that he did that in that single leap marks him out as one to follow. So I think Battle Over Doyen probably should be favourite for this race ahead of Champ.
And Cheltenham Hurdle winners? Not got a great record.
Funnily enough, I was always told that when I had Rev de Civila running for me, and he finished second in this race, having traded at 1.13 in running. It still hurts.
It's painful.
Yeah, it was my 40th birthday, and I backed him to win a house. So
a big house as well.
That's why I'm currently living in a tent in Kev's garden.
There's an interesting horse called City Island. He looks a bit of a dark horse from Martin Brazil. He looks to have a bit of a touch of class. He beat a horse called Dallas de Pictons, who's favourite for one of the handicaps this week. We've also got the likes of Birchdale. Ollie Murphy's brewing up a storm, who fell unluckily on Trials Day. Have you had a look at the Ballymore or anything catch your eye there?
I mean, obviously Sam's Profile is a horse that interests me because he chased home Battle Over Doyen. Now, if he goes for the Albert Bartlett, he might well be a live bet for me in that race.
Yeah.
But if they do decide to switch here, then he'd be of interest each way.
You'd have a price check.
But I'm Battle Over Doyen. I think ever since I saw him early on in the season, I thought it was the real deal.
Battle Over Diane then. Unanimous verdict, it looks like, for the Ballymore Novices Hurdle.